The echoes of the past refuse to be silenced. Just when we think we've mapped every corner, cataloged every artifact, and decoded every ancient script, the world unveils another layer of its profound secrets. These aren't just historical footnotes. They are gaping holes in our understanding, anomalies that scream of forgotten knowledge, vanished civilizations, and forces beyond our grasp. If part 1 left you questioning the very fabric of reality, prepare yourself. Today, we delve even deeper into the abyss of the unknown, where the most tantalizing enigmas persist, defying our most brilliant minds and challenging everything we hold to be true. From ghostly ships to cities swallowed by the jungle, from chilling messages etched in stone to inexplicable disappearances, these are the mysteries that refuse to die. So brace yourself, because the journey into the truly inexplicable continues now. But first, you'll gain untold insight if you like and subscribe before this video ends. The ghost ship of the Arctic, the Mary Celeste Enigma. Imagine a ship, perfectly sound, sails partly set, drifting aimlessly across the vast, unforgiving Atlantic. Its cargo is intact, its lifeboat missing, and not a soul remains on board. No signs of struggle, no distress signals, just an eerie, inexplicable void. This is the chilling tale of the Mary Celeste, the most famous ghost ship in maritime history. A nautical enigma that has baffled investigators and captivated imaginations for over 150 years. What forces could have compelled an entire crew to abandon a seaworthy vessel, leaving behind a phantom sailing towards oblivion? The brigantine Mary Celeste, approximately 100 feet long, was built in Nova Scotia, Canada. Originally named Amazon, she had a somewhat troubled early history, including groundings and collisions. However, by the year 1872, under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, a respected and experienced seaman, the ship seemed to have found its stride. On the 7th of November of the year 1872, the Mary Celeste departed New York City, bound for Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol. Aboard were Captain Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 seasoned sailors. Less than a month later, on the 4th of December of the year 1872, the British brigantine DEI Gracia, under the command of Captain David Morehouse, spotted the Mary Celeste about 400 nautical miles east of the Azores. What they saw sent shivers down their spines. The ship was veering erratically, sails partially set, and seemingly abandoned. The DEI Gracia crew, led by First Mate Oliver DeVoe, boarded the Mary Celeste to find a scene of profound and unsettling mystery. The ship was not in distress. The cargo was mostly undisturbed, although 9 barrels of alcohol were empty. The ship's chronometer, sextant, and navigational instruments were missing, but the logbook, with its last entry dated the 25th of November, was found, showing nothing amiss. The captain's cabin contained personal belongings, including jewelry and money, undisturbed. The galley held neatly stacked dishes, a sewing machine stood with fabric still under the needle, and a child's toy lay untouched. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood, no evidence of piracy or mutiny. The only truly unusual finding was a sword in its sheath, found under the captain's bed. Crucially, the ship's single lifeboat was missing. This implies a deliberate, if inexplicable, abandonment. Why would Captain Briggs, known for his prudence, leave a perfectly sound vessel and his family, taking only the lifeboat? The most perplexing part is the lack of any trace. No bodies, no debris, no explanation from the sea itself. The terrifying void left by the missing crew has spawned a multitude of theories, each grappling with the incomprehensible. An early, popular conjecture posited a brutal mutiny or brazen act of piracy. Yet, the undisturbed valuables and the chilling absence of any signs of struggle on board stood in stark contradiction to such a violent narrative, as pirates would surely have plundered both cargo and personal effects. Others dared to imagine a sudden, cataclysmic seaquake or a monstrous waterspout, a transient but terrifying upheaval that might have convinced the crew their vessel was doomed. In a moment of sheer panic, they could have lowered the lifeboat, only to be swallowed by the unforgiving elements. The partially filled water barrels offer a fleeting whisper of support for this, hinting at a brief, intense event that might have caused the crew to believe the ship was leaking badly, despite no significant hull damage ever being found. Arthur Conan Doyle, in his fictional account, proposed a more insidious threat: the explosion of alcohol vapors. This theory suggests that the alcohol fumes might have ignited, causing a small, non-destructive blast that sent the crew fleeing in terror from an imagined impending full explosion, only to perish at sea. The absence of charring or structural damage, despite the 9 empty barrels, remains a perplexing counterpoint to this explosive idea. A sensational accusation of foul play by the DEI Gracia crew was swiftly dismissed by the Court of Inquiry, which found no evidence and commended the captain's salvage efforts. More recently, a speculative whisper has emerged, suggesting ergot poisoning from contaminated rye flour used for the ship's bread, leading to collective hallucinations and a desperate, irrational abandonment. While theoretically possible, tangible evidence remains elusive. Perhaps, in a final eerie twist, a rare atmospheric phenomenon, a fata morgana, made the Mary Celeste appear distressed from afar, prompting the DEI Gracia to approach and find it genuinely abandoned for other, unknown reasons, rather than witnessing the abandonment itself. The Mary Celeste remains an enduring symbol of the ocean's inscrutable power and the fragility of human life at sea. Why was the ship's chronometer missing, but not other valuables? Why did they abandon a ship that was seemingly in perfect condition? And where did they go? No trace of the 10 people aboard the Mary Celeste has ever been found. The mystery continues to fuel books, films, and endless speculation. A chilling reminder that some questions posed by the deep remain stubbornly unanswered, forever sailing into the annals of the unexplained. The Screaming Mummy, the riddle of unknown man, E. In the annals of Egyptology, where every pharaoh's secret is meticulously catalogued, one mummy stands apart, a chilling testament to an ancient horror. Its face frozen in an agonizing, silent scream. Its body wrapped not in fine linens but in rough sheepskin, a mark of desecration in ancient Egypt. This is the mummy of unknown man E, more famously known as the Screaming Mummy. For centuries, its tormented expression has begged a haunting question: what unspeakable fate befell this individual to warrant such a terrifying, unconventional burial? The Screaming Mummy was discovered in the year 1886 within the royal cache of Deir el-Bahari, a burial site on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor. This cache held the remains of some of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs and nobles, including Ramesses II and Seti I, all reburied there by priests to protect them from tomb robbers. Among these majestically interred rulers, the presence of unknown man E was starkly anomalous. Unlike the meticulously prepared and sumptuously adorned mummies of his royal neighbors, his body was hastily prepared, covered in sheepskin, considered ritually impure, and placed in a simple, undecorated cedar coffin. His face, frozen in a silent, horrific grimace, suggested immense suffering at the moment of death. His hands and feet were bound, further adding to the grim narrative. The paradox of the Screaming Mummy lies in its simultaneous presence within a royal burial site and the profound disrespect shown in its preparation. Why was he placed among pharaohs, yet subjected to a burial typically reserved for criminals or those who had committed grave offenses? The sheepskin wrapping, in particular, was a powerful symbol of ritual defilement, meant to prevent the deceased from achieving eternal life in the afterlife. The agonizing facial expression, preserved for millennia, further deepened the mystery. Was it a result of the mummification process, or did it truly reflect the victim's final moments? For years, this mummy was merely a footnote, a gruesome curiosity, until modern forensic techniques began to shed light on his identity and the possible cause of his macabre fate. The tortured grimace of the Screaming Mummy has invited a spectrum of chilling possibilities. Early inquiries into its horrific expression speculated on a death by poisoning or suffocation, the convulsive throes of such an end mirroring the mummy's silent scream. However, the absence of soft tissue analysis at the time left these theories without direct substantiation. The bound limbs and the ritually defiled burial hinted at a deliberate act of punishment, a grim theatrical display for a high-ranking individual who had committed a grave crime, perhaps even treason. thus eternally denied a proper afterlife as a stark warning to others. Yet, the most compelling and increasingly supported narrative stems from the infamous harem conspiracy. In a groundbreaking moment in the year 2012, a CT scan of the screaming mummy, examined alongside the mummy of Prince Pentawere, unveiled striking clues. Unknown man E's body bore the indelible marks of death by strangulation or hanging, a discovery chillingly consistent with his bound hands and feet and that haunting grimace. Crucially, DNA evidence forged an astonishing link. Unknown man E was genetically connected to Ramesses III, strongly suggesting he was the pharaoh's own son. This revelation resonated perfectly with the historical accounts of the harem conspiracy of the year 1155 BCE, a treacherous plot to assassinate Ramesses III and elevate Prince Pentawere to the throne. The conspiracy, meticulously orchestrated by Queen Tiye, Pentaware's mother, and other members of the royal harem, entangled a vast network of officials and servants. Though Ramesses III tragically met his end, the conspiracy was ultimately thwarted, and its orchestrators, including Pentawere, faced judgment and punishment. The unconventional burial of unknown man E, particularly the ritually impure sheepskin, now perfectly aligns with the grim fate of a disgraced royal, executed for treason and eternally condemned to prevent his passage into the afterlife. As for the scream itself, while potentially a result of post-mortem rigor mortis or a tightly wound-jaw bandage, it could also be a chilling, timeless preservation of his final, tortured moments. While the harem conspiracy theory provides a strong explanation, certain questions persist. Was the scream purely an effect of the mummification, or a true snapshot of agony? Why was he placed in a royal cache at all, even in disgrace? The screaming mummy's legacy is a chilling testament to ancient Egyptian justice, the cutthroat nature of royal succession, and the enduring power of a single, haunting image to convey a story of profound suffering and betrayal across millennia. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, the unrusting wonder. In the bustling heart of Delhi, India, stands a monument that defies the very laws of corrosion, the Iron Pillar. Erected over 1,600 years ago, this colossal iron column, nearly 7.2 meters tall and weighing over 6 tons, has withstood millennia of monsoons, heat, and humidity without showing a speck of rust. In an age when iron structures succumb to decay within decades, the Iron Pillar of Delhi is a metallurgical marvel, a silent testament to ancient Indian engineering that continues to baffle modern scientists. The pillar is located in the Qutb Minar complex, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, though it predates many of the surrounding structures. Inscriptions on the pillar indicate it was originally erected by Chandragupta II, the years 375 to 415 CE, as a dvaja standard, in front of a Vishnu temple complex, likely in Udayagiri, and later moved to its current location. The earliest known inscription is in Sanskrit, praising Vishnu and a powerful king named Chandra, identified as Chandragupta II. Despite its immense age and constant exposure to the elements, the pillar exhibits an astonishing resistance to corrosion, a phenomenon that has puzzled metallurgists for centuries. The central paradox of the Iron Pillar is its extraordinary rust resistance. Given its high iron content, modern iron structures begin to corrode almost immediately without protective coatings. The pillar's longevity, especially in Delhi's humid climate, suggests either an unknown ancient metallurgical secret or a unique combination of environmental factors. How did ancient blacksmiths, without modern furnaces or purification techniques, create an iron of such purity and durability? It's not just the iron, it's also the method of construction. The pillar was likely forged from a large number of individual bloomery iron pieces that were hammer-welded together. The sheer scale of this task, creating a single, continuous iron column of this size, speaks to a highly advanced understanding of forging. Scientists have relentlessly probed the pillar's composition and surface, seeking to unravel its enduring mystery. The most widely embraced scientific explanation, championed by Dr. R. Balasubramaniam of IIT Kanpur, attributes the pillar's uncanny rust resistance to a thin, uniform layer of misawite, a compound of iron, oxygen, and hydrogen. This remarkable amorphous iron oxyhydroxide film forms on the pillar's surface due to the unique impurities woven into the iron itself, particularly a strikingly high phosphorus content of around 0.25%, a stark contrast to the mere 0.05% found in modern iron, coupled with a remarkably low sulfur content. During the pillar's initial centuries of exposure to the elements, a protective scale of iron oxides began to form. Over time, the subtle presence of phosphorus within the iron acted as a catalyst, nurturing the formation of this tenacious, non-porous misoite layer, which acts as an impenetrable barrier against further corrosion. Furthermore, the specific rhythmic cycle of wet and dry periods characteristic of Delhi's climate plays a crucial role, allowing this protective film to consolidate and harden, locking away the secrets of its resilience. While compelling, some alternative theories have whispered of an intentional sacrificial layer, perhaps of zinc or tin, applied to the pillar's surface. However, exhaustive, detailed chemical analysis has failed to lend any credence to such claims. As with many inexplicable ancient feats, a more fantastical current of thought has speculated about lost technologies from a super-advanced ancient civilization, or even the tantalizing possibility of extraterrestrial intervention. While undeniably captivating to the imagination, these grand narratives regrettably lack any scientific evidence to support their claims. The unique microclimate surrounding the pillar, combined with the dry season allowing the passive film to form, is also considered a contributing factor to its miraculous preservation. While the misoite theory provides a strong scientific explanation, the question remains: was this rust resistance an accidental discovery of ancient Indian metallurgists, or a deliberate, empirical understanding of material science that has since been lost? How did they manage to consistently produce iron with such specific impurity levels and forge such a massive structure? The Iron Pillar of Delhi stands as a living monument to the astonishing capabilities of ancient Indian engineering, a perpetual challenge to our modern understanding of material science, and a fascinating blend of history, metallurgy, and enduring mystery. The lost city of Z, deep in the Amazon's green hell. For centuries, whispered tales of a magnificent city, built from white stone and glittering with gold, echoed through the Amazon rainforest. A sprawling metropolis, lost to time and swallowed by the relentless embrace of the jungle, inhabited by a sophisticated civilization that defied all conventional understanding of Amazonian history. This was the fabled City of Z, a legendary place that drove explorers to madness, disease, and often their deaths. Did such a city ever exist? Or was it merely the fevered dream of a jungle-addled imagination? The legend gained widespread notoriety through the British explorer Percy Fawcett. A decorated officer and surveyor, Fawcett became obsessed with the idea of a lost city after discovering a document in the National Library of Rio de Janeiro in the year 1912. This manuscript, known as Manuscript 512, written in the year 1753 by a Portuguese Bandeirante explorer, described the ruins of an ancient city deep in the Mato Grosso region, with multi-story buildings, arches, and intricate carvings. Fawcett, convinced of the existence of a grand civilization in a region thought to be uninhabited, named his elusive target Z. He undertook several expeditions into the Amazon, battling disease, hostile tribes, and the unforgiving environment. His final, ill-fated expedition in the year 1925, undertaken with his eldest son Jack and friend Raleigh Rimmel, ended in their complete disappearance. They vanished without a trace, adding another layer of tragic mystery to the legend of Z. The paradox of the City of Z is the clash between historical narrative and empirical evidence. For decades, mainstream academia dismissed the idea of large, complex urban centers in the pre-Columbian Amazon, believing the rainforest environment could not support such populations. They argued that Amazonian indigenous groups were largely nomadic or lived in small, scattered villages. Fawcett's belief in Z, therefore, was seen as romantic delusion. Yet, the persistent indigenous oral traditions, the tantalizing glimpses of ancient earthworks, and more recent archaeological discoveries have forced a radical reevaluation. How could such a vast, intricate city, if it existed, have vanished so completely? Why did no definitive proof emerge for so long? The initial, most straightforward explanation cast Fawcett's fervent belief as mere delusion, perhaps exacerbated by jungle fever or a lack of solid archaeological evidence. Some skeptics even suggested that any perceived structures were simply natural rock formations or misinterpreted indigenous earthworks. However, a more recent and utterly compelling narrative has emerged from the advent of advanced remote sensing technologies, fundamentally challenging the long-held traditional view of the Amazon. Beginning in the 21st century, archaeologists, armed with the revolutionary power of LiDAR, light detection and ranging technology, have pierced the dense jungle canopy, unveiling intricate patterns of earthworks, causeways, geometric structures, and fortified settlements in areas previously dismissed as untouched wilderness. These breathtaking revelations include vast networks of interconnected earthworks, such as the enigmatic geoglyphs found in Acre, Brazil, and previously unknown forest cities thriving in the upper Amazon. In a landmark moment in the year 2018, a study published in Science harnessed LiDAR to reveal the sprawling remnants of a massive, previously unknown urban landscape in the Llanos de Mojos region of Bolivia, complete with elaborate canals, reservoirs, and raised fields, dating back over 1,500 years. While these discoveries may not precisely match Fawcett's vivid descriptions of white stone cities, they undeniably confirm the existence of complex, large-scale societies that profoundly reshape their environment. The discovery of Terra Preta, or Amazonian dark earth, a remarkably fertile anthropogenic soil meticulously created by ancient inhabitants through the accumulation of organic matter and charcoal, further underscores this paradigm shift. This ingenious agricultural practice indicates that these societies sustained immense populations for centuries through sophisticated means, shattering the notion of Amazonian ecological fragility. The tragic disappearance of these once thriving settlements might be partly attributed to the very practices that sustained them. Extensive agriculture could have led to localized deforestation, rendering areas vulnerable to subtle climate shifts or devastating disease, ultimately leading to their abandonment. However, the most catastrophic blow to many Amazonian civilizations was undoubtedly the arrival of Europeans and the swift, brutal introduction of old-world diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza. These relentless plagues decimated indigenous populations, often before direct contact with explorers, triggering the collapse of complex societies and allowing the relentless jungle to swiftly reclaim their once magnificent cities. While LiDAR has indeed revealed lost cities far beyond initial academic imagination, the exact location and precise nature of Fawcett's specific City of Z remain tantalizingly unconfirmed. Did he, perhaps, stumble upon one of these now revealed large settlements? Or was his Z a composite of various observations and legends? The profound mystery of Fawcett's own disappearance has never been definitively solved, leaving his ultimate fate as enigmatic as the city he so passionately sought. The legacy of the City of Z has transformed from a romanticized delusion into a symbol of the profound and underestimated complexity of pre-Columbian Amazonian civilizations, challenging the very narrative of human development in one of Earth's last great wildernesses. The Baltic Sea Anomaly, the UFO of the deep. In the dark, icy depths of the Baltic Sea, something lies waiting, a colossal, perfectly circular object, resting on the seabed, leaving a mysterious 300-meter-long runway in its wake. Discovered by a Swedish ocean exploration team in the year 2011, this is the Baltic Sea Anomaly, an object so bizarre, so unnatural in its geometric perfection, that it immediately ignited speculation around the globe. Was it a geological formation, a forgotten relic of ancient warfare, or something far more extraordinary, an alien spacecraft, a UFO of the deep? In June of the year 2011, the Swedish Ocean X team, a group of ocean explorers and salvage operators led by Peter Lindberg and Dennis Osberg, were using side-scan sonar to search for shipwrecks and treasure on the floor of the Baltic Sea. During one of their scans, at a depth of about 87 meters, 285 feet, between Sweden and Finland, their sonar picked up a truly astonishing image. It showed a massive, perfectly circular object, approximately 60 meters, 200 feet, in diameter, sitting on the seabed. What was even stranger was a 300-meter, 980-foot, long runway or drag mark leading up to the object, suggesting it had moved along the seabed before coming to rest. The image was immediately dubbed the Baltic Sea Anomaly and sent shockwaves through both the scientific and conspiracy theory communities. The core paradox of the Baltic Sea Anomaly is its strikingly unnatural symmetry and the clear drag mark that defies easy geological explanation. While nature can create symmetrical shapes, the sheer scale and precise circularity of the object, combined with the long, straight runway, seem to contradict typical underwater rock formations. Furthermore, initial sonar readings indicated sharp angles and a rough, rocky surface, which some interpreted as steps or staircases. The object also appeared to be raised from the seabed on a pillar-like structure in some areas. These features, combined with the lack of any geological analogs, fueled the more exotic theories. The depths have yielded a variety of explanations for this bizarre underwater enigma, each vying for supremacy in the minds of researchers and theorists. The most conservative and scientifically favored explanation gently suggests a natural geological formation. Geologists propose it could be a glacial deposit, a peculiar rock outcrop, or a concretion meticulously sculpted by the slow, relentless hand of natural processes. Indeed, the Baltic Sea was heavily glaciated during the last ice age, leaving behind a myriad of unusual formations. Volcanic activity, though less common in this specific area, could also theoretically produce basalt columns or pillow lavas that, when weathered by the eons, might eerily resemble such a precise structure. Yet, the exact shape and the distinct, unnervingly long runway remain stubborn anomalies, difficult to explain solely by the caprices of nature. Some scientists have even posited it as a pingo, a type of ice-cored hill found in permafrost regions, or a glacial erratic, a massive boulder transported by ancient glaciers. Given the Baltic Sea's tumultuous history as a battleground, a more intriguing, if speculative theory emerged. Could it be a secret Nazi anti-submarine device, a relic of some lost military technology, or even a sunken UFO from the era of World War II? However, no known military technology of that period aligns with the description or colossal scale of the anomaly. The notion of a sunken UFO or extraterrestrial craft gained significant, even sensational traction, fueled by the object's striking resemblance to the fictional Millennium Falcon and that inexplicable, perfectly straight runway. Proponents passionately argue that its uncanny symmetry and apparent impact marks are irrefutable evidence of an intelligent, non-human origin. They even point to anecdotal reports from divers who claim to encounter strange electrical interference when nearing the object, suggesting electromagnetic properties beyond our understanding. Yet, the most grounded skeptics calmly argue that sonar imaging itself can be a deceptive mistress, producing misleading results, and that the anomaly might simply be a large, irregularly shaped rock that, due to the limitations or angles of the sonar equipment, merely appears symmetrical. Despite multiple dives and subsequent sonar scans by the OceanX team, no independent scientific body has conducted a full-scale, funded expedition. The Baltic Sea anomaly remains largely unexplained. Divers reported seeing circular formations of stone, some with what look like carved staircases, and a dark, non-reflective surface. They also claimed their electronic equipment malfunctioned when near the object. However, without independent scientific verification, these claims remain anecdotal. The anomaly has become a touchstone for discussions about unexplained phenomena, a Rorschach test for our collective beliefs about the unknown. Its legacy is a persistent question mark in the deep, a testament to the fact that even with modern technology, our planet still holds geological and potentially technological secrets that defy easy categorization. The Voynich Manuscript, the unreadable book of secrets. In the rare book collection of Yale University's Beinecke Library lies a manuscript that has defied the greatest cryptographers, linguists, and historians for over a century. Known as the Voynich Manuscript, it is a handwritten book, roughly 240 pages long, filled with a seemingly coherent but utterly unreadable script and fantastical, vibrant illustrations of unknown plants, bizarre anatomical diagrams, and celestial charts that don't match any known constellations. This isn't just a book. It's a silent scream of an ancient secret, a linguistic challenge designed, it seems, to be eternally impenetrable. The manuscript gets its name from Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who acquired it in the year 1912 from a Jesuit college in Italy. Its history before the 17th century is murky, but it appears to have passed through the hands of Emperor Rudolf II of Bohemia, who paid a princely sum for it, believing it to be the work of Roger Bacon, and later the alchemist Georg Baresch. Throughout its known history, it has been an object of intense fascination and frustration. Its pages, crafted from vellum, calfskin, show signs of considerable age, and carbon dating in the year 2009 confirmed that the vellum was made between the years 1404 and 1438, placing its creation in the early 15th century. This makes it a true relic of the late medieval or early Renaissance period. The central paradox of the Voynich manuscript is its apparent linguistic coherence, yet complete indecipherability. The script itself flows naturally, with distinct words and sentences, following certain statistical patterns similar to real languages, e.g., certain letters appear more frequently. Some pairs of letters are common, others rare. Yet, every attempt to translate or decrypt it, from codebreakers of 2 world wars to modern linguists and AI algorithms, has failed. No known alphabet, ancient language, or code matches its unique characters. The illustrations are equally enigmatic. Many of the plants depicted do not correspond to any known botanical species, leading some to call it an alien botanical encyclopedia. The astronomical diagrams are unfamiliar, and the biological section shows nude female figures engaged in mysterious rituals, connected by pipes or pools. Is it a language, a code, a cipher, or an elaborate hoax? The unreadable pages of the Voynich manuscript have given rise to a fascinating array of theories, each attempting to pierce its veil of secrecy. One compelling thought posits that it might be written in a genuine, yet now tragically extinct, language that has simply eluded historical documentation. However, without the linguistic Rosetta Stone, a bilingual text to guide the way, deciphering a truly lost language remains an almost insurmountable task. Cryptographers, with their sharp minds and meticulous methods, have pored over the manuscript, painstakingly analyzing character frequencies and linguistic patterns, yet no known cryptographic technique, be it simple substitution, complex transposition, or intricate polyalphabetic ciphershaws, yielded any discernible breakthrough. This persistent resistance to cracking has led some to suggest it might be a highly complex, multi-layered cipher, a masterpiece of ancient encryption. A more audacious theory, and one that resonates deeply with the cunning of the past, proposes the manuscript is an elaborate hoax, a brilliant deception crafted by some anonymous genius in the 15th or 16th century to defraud eager patrons fascinated by alchemy or arcane occult knowledge. The script's seemingly random, yet eerily consistent language-like qualities, combined with the baffling, nonsensical illustrations, could indeed be the hallmarks of a masterful deception. Yet, the sheer scale of creating such a voluminous and consistently fake language would itself be a monumental undertaking, and no compelling motive or identifiable hoaxer has ever been definitively unmasked. Given the abundant botanical illustrations, another line of inquiry suggests it could be a medical or botanical treatise, perhaps a compendium of herbal remedies, though the myriad of unidentified plants complicates this seemingly straightforward explanation. Reflecting the alchemical and occult fervor of its era, some believe it contains secret knowledge or magical formulas hidden from the uninitiated. A more recent, intriguing theory ventures into the realm of glossemic writing, proposing that each symbol might represent an entire concept or phrase rather than individual letters or sounds, thus defying conventional linguistic analysis. And for the truly speculative, whispers have suggested the author might have been under the influence of psychoactive drugs, creating a stream of consciousness text paired with its bizarre, hallucinatory visuals. The Voynich manuscript continues to baffle. Who wrote it? Why was it written? What secrets does it hold, if any? Its pages whisper of an intelligence, a purpose, yet yield no discernible meaning. Its legacy is a testament to the human fascination with codes, secrets, and the enduring power of an unsolved mystery to capture the imagination, forever challenging our ability to understand the unknown. The Tunguska event, the Siberian impact enigma, in the remote, unforgiving wilderness of Siberia. On the morning of the 30th of June of the year 1908, a colossal explosion ripped through the sky, flattening over 2,000 square kilometers of forest, yet leaving no impact crater. This was the Tunguska event, the largest impact event on Earth in recorded history, an enigma shrouded in scientific debate and wild speculation. What invisible force unleashed such devastation, transforming a vast expanse of taiga into a scene of apocalyptic desolation? Witnesses across a vast region of Siberia reported a bright bluish-white light, a fire in the sky, followed by a deafening roar and a shockwave that knocked people off their feet, shattered windows hundreds of kilometers away, and registered on seismographs across Europe. Even nights became abnormally bright, known as white nights, for several days across parts of Russia and Europe, due to atmospheric dust. Despite the immense scale of the event, the remoteness of the location meant that the first scientific expedition, led by Russian mineralogist Leonid Kulik, didn't reach the site until the year 1927, nearly 2 decades later. What Kulik and his team found was astonishing. A vast area of charred trees, flattened radially outward from a central point, like spokes of a wheel, but no impact crater. The trunks were still standing at the epicenter, stripped bare of branches, resembling a telegraph pole forest. The absence of an impact crater is the central paradox of the Tunguska event. A blast of this magnitude, estimated to be equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, comparable to a large thermonuclear weapon, should have left a massive crater, typically kilometers in diameter. The radial flattening of trees suggested an airburst, where the object exploded in the atmosphere rather than hitting the ground. But what kind of object could cause such a massive airburst without leaving any debris or a crater? Furthermore, initial searches for meteorite fragments yielded nothing conclusive, baffling scientists for decades. The search for the culprit behind Tunguska's devastating airburst has led to numerous hypotheses, each attempting to explain the inexplicable. The most widely accepted scientific theory points to the dramatic airburst of a small comet. Such a celestial traveler, primarily composed of ice and dust, would vaporize completely within the atmosphere before striking the ground, thus creating a massive explosion without leaving a telltale crater or significant fragments in its wake. The remarkable radial flattening of the trees, spanning thousands of square kilometers, is perfectly explained by such a high-altitude blast, estimated to have occurred between 5 to 10 kilometers above the Siberian taiga. This cometary theory finds further support in the lingering white nights phenomenon, which illuminated the skies across parts of Russia and Europe for several days, possibly caused by ice particles from the fragmented comet, reflecting sunlight. A similar, yet distinct possibility considers an asteroid airburst. While a stony asteroid could also explode in the atmosphere before impact, it would typically be more likely to leave behind fragments or a more subtle crater. Interestingly, recent discoveries of microspherules in the soil from the Tunguska region, bearing extraterrestrial composition, lend a whisper of weight to the idea of a rocky body, though not enough to definitively pinpoint the impactor. Early, less popular theories ventured into the realm of earthbound phenomena, suggesting a massive natural gas explosion or even a localized volcanic eruption. However, the geological and atmospheric evidence simply does not support these terrestrial explanations. During the chilling grip of the Cold War, a more outlandish notion surfaced, speculating about a natural nuclear explosion, or even a test of some unknown, ancient technology. Modern science has largely dismissed these sensational claims. And then, there are the truly far-flung theories, a tiny black hole passing through Earth, or an antimatter explosion. These remain highly speculative and contradict known physics. Finally, a persistent conspiracy theory, often fueled by the lack of conventional debris, posits a UFO crash or explosion as the ultimate explanation. Yet, this captivating narrative lacks any credible scientific evidence to substantiate its claims. While the cometary airburst theory is the leading scientific explanation, the absence of any direct physical evidence of the object itself, no large fragments, no definitive chemical signature in the ground, means the Tunguska event remains technically unconfirmed. It stands as a chilling reminder of the destructive power lurking in space and the vulnerability of our planet. Its legacy is a perpetual scientific puzzle, a symbol of cosmic uncertainty and a source of endless fascination for those who ponder the mysteries that fall from the sky. The crystal skulls, ancient artifacts or modern forgeries, gleaming with an otherworldly luminescence, carved from solid quartz with an almost impossible precision. The crystal skulls are among the most controversial and enigmatic artifacts in the world. Whispered to possess mystical powers, ancient knowledge, or even extraterrestrial origins, these skulls have captivated adventurers, scientists, and spiritualists alike. But are they genuine relics of forgotten civilizations, holding secrets of the cosmos, or simply elaborate modern forgeries designed to deceive? The truth is as opaque as the quartz itself. The most famous crystal skulls surfaced in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, often sold by shady dealers or unearthed during loosely documented excavations in Central and South America. The Mitchell Hedges skull, discovered, or rather claimed to be discovered, by Anna Mitchell Hedges in a ruined Mayan city in Belize in the year 1924, is arguably the most famous. It's a perfectly carved, life-size skull, complete with a detachable jaw, made from a single block of clear quartz. Other notable skulls include the British Museum skull, the Paris skull, and the Smithsonian skull. These discoveries fueled sensational stories of ancient civilizations, possessing advanced technological capabilities far beyond what was thought possible for their era. The central enigma of the crystal skulls is their alleged perfection of carving, particularly the lack of tool marks and the seemingly impossible precision with which they were crafted. Quartz, a mineral with a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale, diamond is 10, is incredibly difficult to carve, even with modern steel tools. Ancient Mesoamerican cultures had access only to abrasive sands, stone tools, and primitive drills. To create a skull with such smooth surfaces, precise anatomical details, and a detachable jaw, using only these methods, would be an unfathomable feat of patience and skill. Furthermore, many of the skulls exhibit an optical phenomenon where light seems to originate from within, or where distortions occur when viewed through them, adding to their mystical allure. The dazzling allure of the crystal skulls has given rise to a captivating debate, pitting ancient mysteries against the sharp blade of modern scientific scrutiny. On one side stand the fervent proponents, who champion the belief that these skulls are undeniable, genuine ancient artifacts. For them, these crystalline effigies serve as compelling evidence of a lost advanced technology, a spiritual mastery that allowed ancient cultures to manipulate stone with an extraordinary, almost magical precision. They whisper of esoteric knowledge contained within, believing the skulls were once potent instruments for healing, profound divination, or even as ethereal conduits for communication with higher realms. However, the overwhelming and increasingly solidified conclusion of modern scientific analysis firmly positions most of these prominent crystal skulls not as ancient relics, but as elaborate modern forgeries. The key to this revelation lies in the microscopic realm. Meticulous studies conducted by venerable institutions such as the British Museum, the Smithsonian Institution, and other esteemed scientific bodies, employing the high-resolution gaze of scanning electron microscopes, SEM, have revealed telltale microscopic tool marks on the surfaces of the most famous crystal skulls, including those held by the British Museum, Paris, and Smithsonian. These minute imperfections are not the gentle abrasions of ancient methods. Rather, they bear the characteristic signature of rotary cutting wheels and grinding tools, unequivocally consistent with 19th century lapidary techniques, not the primitive tools available to ancient Mesoamerican civilizations. Furthermore, a closer look at the anatomical details of many skulls reveals subtle inaccuracies, such as incorrect eye socket placement or exaggerated features that subtly betray a European artistic influence, rather than reflecting authentic, indigenous, Mesoamerican carving traditions. Perhaps most damning is the pervasive lack of reliable archaeological context for most of the famous skulls. They often mysteriously surfaced without scientifically documented provenance, frequently purchased from dubious dealers, rather than meticulously excavated from undisturbed ancient sites. Even the Mitchell Hedges skull, despite its dramatic and widely publicized discovery story, has been largely debunked by both its questionable origins and the undeniable presence of anachronistic tool marks. While carbon dating can precisely date organic materials, it is powerless to date the quartz itself. Thus, the methods used to determine their age are often anecdotal or precariously based on the supposed archaeological context, which has itself been rigorously challenged. A strong body of evidence now points to a likely origin in Germany, specifically in Idar-Oberstein, a town renowned in the 19th century for its skilled lapidaries, stone carvers, and their mastery of quartz carving. It is highly probable that dealers then acquired these masterfully crafted pieces and cunningly sold them as ancient Mesoamerican artifacts, preying on the romantic fascination with the unknown. While scientific evidence strongly points to modern forgery for most prominent crystal skulls, a few smaller, cruder quartz skulls have been found in legitimate archaeological contexts. This raises the question, did some ancient cultures attempt to carve quartz skulls, even if not with the impossible precision of the famous fakes? The legacy of the crystal skulls is complex. They are a testament to the human desire for mystery and the allure of hidden knowledge. They also serve as a cautionary tale in archaeology, highlighting the importance of rigorous scientific methodology and documented provenance in the study of ancient artifacts. Despite the debunking, their captivating beauty and the lingering romanticism of ancient mysteries continue to draw believers and fuel speculation. From the ghostly echoes of the Mary Celeste to the unreadable script of the Voynich manuscript, from the unrusting iron pillar to the invisible cities of the Amazon, the world continues to guard its most profound secrets. These are not merely stories, they are challenges. Challenges to our science, to our history, and to the very limits of our imagination. If these deep dives into the inexplicable have left you hungry for more, if the unknown sparks something thrilling within you, then join our quest. Share your own theories, your own burning questions in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the journey into the unseen is far from over. See you on the next adventure, where more mysteries await.